Hello and welcome to the Argyle Financial Controller Leadership Forum. My name is Brittany Sullivan with Argyle, and it's great to have everyone joining us today. I have some important information to share with you, and then we will turn the floor over to our esteemed opening keynote speaker. First, we would like to take a moment to thank today's sponsors, SAP, Brex, RightRev, and Lease Accelerator. Our sponsors are committed to providing you with valuable content and a great overall experience. At any time during today's event, you can visit their virtual booths from the main agenda page, which include complimentary materials, information, and meet and greet opportunities. We also welcome you to stay socially connected during today's event. For those of you who are active on social media, please use the hashtag Argyle Digital and follow us at Argyle Exec Forum. Also be sure to follow Argyle on LinkedIn for special announcements. Finally, and most importantly, we would love to hear from you. So during each session, we encourage you to submit your questions and comments in the Q&A box on your screen. Following each presentation, we have set aside time for our speakers to weigh in on your questions. Thank you again for joining us. Now let's get started. Without further ado, I would love to introduce Julian Siflikiu, Division Financial Controller at the Kroger Company. We're excited to have Julian with us for his opening keynote titled Strategic Planning and Forecasting for Financial Controllers. Welcome, Julian, and over to you.
Thank you, Brittany. Appreciate that. Hello, everyone. I'm Julian Siflikiu. I'm currently the Division Financial Controller for the Kroger Company here in Michigan, U.S. I'm very, very excited today to be with you and talk about the strategic planning and forecasting for the financial controllers. Just a little bit about me. All my career has been in retail. I started as a seafood clerk in one of the Kroger stores. And then after that, I managed several stores as a store leader for several years. I've handled several roles in division office in the merchandising or operation capacity. And in the last 15 years, I've been working in the finance department in different roles. I started as a financial analyst before, and then being assistant controller, and CFO in multiple states within all the U.S. So again, glad to be here with you today. And the one thing that I stand for is I have a passion for results and passion for people. So today we'll talk about the strategic planning and forecasting for the financial controllers. And what are the key points here? I'm going to talk about how to leverage data analytics to make better prediction or forecasting. Also, we're going to discuss how to implement scenarios planning frameworks. And then last but not least, what are the best practices? What are some of the best practices we have as far as strategic planning and the forecasting? So the first thing is how to leverage data and analytics to make better predictions here. I have maybe three basis points here I want to share with you. And first is we need how we can define the scope of the project. What are the key metrics? What are the financial goals, and how to build a relevant and reliable data source? To me, what I've seen in my career, this is the most important step because it determines the success and outcome of the planning and the forecast. So when you look at here, we say, okay, the magic here, the main question is, what are we aiming to achieve here? Okay, it might be increasing sales, increasing the market share, and the customer satisfaction. So what is important in all these as they relate to each other? And then we have to determine which one is first. Okay, because you cannot put everything in par here. It depends what the project is. Therefore, in order to succeed, every organization must implement, I'll say, accurate, harmonized, and standardized data throughout the company from the top to bottom. Ideally, if you have the data here, they should be evaluated by automated processes, such as, in this case, we use a lot, about the Power BI. This is important because every business unit owner, uses and relies on the same source. So that's why it's critical to determine the data source. And in this case, not just use the historical data, okay? In addition, we should be including any forecasting methods that's, for external factors that might have an impact on our future performance. And these might be any changes in customer behaviors, macroeconomic issues, such as, what is our performance of economy, changing on economic output, inflation, interest rates, unemployment, growth rate, GDP. So these are all the factors that we got to look at. This here will translate it, to far more improved, accurate forecasting models in response to the shifting landscape of the market and economy. So here, simply put, okay, models must determine if other internal or external factors are more significant than others, and we have to adjust accordingly as we go. On the key metrics, we need to be selective, let's say. And the reason for that is, to the point that, example, sales are not the, are we looking at sales? Are we looking at incremental sales? Are we looking at to increase the customer satisfaction? Are we looking to gain the market share? And these might be the top metrics. And don't include every metrics, because selling growth and other expenses come with it. So be specific. The other piece is we need to build a relevant and reliable data source. In any forecasting model, okay, historical data and trends should be used. There are organizations like Kroger or other organizations that we may benefit from this insight. Makes it easier to see patterns and trends. Very important for forecasting models. And this can be used to create more accurate projections. In addition, it is equally important to consider non-financial elements, okay, that have the potential to influence the projections, such as, for example, changes in customer behavior, or if we have new competitors in the market, because it happens. And here, the true value of accurate projections come into fruition when forecast models, right, guide company choices and aim to enhance the future performance. The next one here will be always consider several different what-if scenarios with the different analytics. Include several potential scenarios. As an example, in financial operation, we use this to better understand how the company's financial performance could be affected by various events. In this pursuit, we may provide, like a baseline projections, and based on scenarios that is more likely to occur. It's very important. In addition, we need to consider other risks and possibilities. A note, a kind of a high point here. Please note, always be conservative on this topic. We got to study, understand macroeconomics related to forecasting in question. As an example, what are the customer demands? What is the purchase power? Buying versus savings. What are the government regulations that impact our future forecasting? So be mindful to that. The other piece will be, we got to monitor, evaluate, and confirm the effectiveness of the data as it relates to the financial forecast and the expectations. The key point here is how to maintain and review and update the financial forecast and the predictions. Keep in mind that the business environment is in a state that is in a constant change. So essential for finance teams, include myself too, to regularly examine and update the projections to ensure that they are correct and continue to be applicable to the project in hand that we have. This may assist our team, the finance team, to identify any possible risks might be down the road and any opportunities. So where is the change here? And these, if we capture that early enough, okay, is going to give us a possibility to change the forecast, to update with new metrics. In addition, we got to look at the solid forecasting procedures. We need to facilitate the organization's ability to see its future, okay, based on activities and intention. With this insight, I think it's very important the finance leadership can better assess growth, prospect, anticipate threats, and also reallocate resources throughout the year and meet cash flows requirements. As an example, as everybody knows in our days, we didn't have COVID, 5 or 6 years ago that came into play. How you react to that? What kind of changes you made to the plan? Because it's kind of very, very important in order to be profitable. The next one is how to implement scenarios planning frameworks. The first thing that comes to my mind is how to identify the ownership and establish accountability. Very, very important step. Like I said, as far as I'm concerned, this is one of the very, very important steps in all this equation. Clear communication to all involved, I think, is the key. If you look at that, it's like a team sport, right? Each player, okay, is accountable for. Each player is going to play a role. It's the same thing in finance. Big picture structure, I think, must be broken, okay, to layer of bricks with names of members. As an example, Julian is going to be a part of finance, right? What is my role? Merchandise is going to have his saying. Operation on that side, facility engineer, real estate. So all these pieces, all these departments have a saying in all this, in the successful forecasting. Here I have a word of caution for, especially for people there in the audience that are working in big corporations. Communication at every level here is the key. And if it's not handled correctly, step by step, with the clarity and purpose, it's going to run into the risk of diminishing the desired outcome, which will result in project failure. The other one is how to define the assumptions and establish the reasonable goals. Keep in mind, the key word in this bullet point is reasonable. As an example, okay, if we're trying to build a model, if you're trying to build a projections for sales, okay, to how to increase sales or how to be successful, in 1 year, in short term and long term. Can we use 10,000 or 15,000? It depends. So which one is going to be? The answer will be in a level of confidence that we have, okay, to use that number. So don't overreact. Don't overreact. I would say have a little bit, like honesty. We got to have honesty here in our assessment. So by creating a solid foundation in short-term objectives, we guarantee the long-term one. The other one here, the third one would be monitor the performance and update the assumptions accordingly. In this point here, communicating the results every time, I'd say every week, every other week, every month, in form of a business format is critical in ensuring the alignment within organization, okay, as it relates to performance of the forecast is needed to ensure the success. The next one, we'll talk about the best practices for strategic planning and forecasting. We need to establish the clear objectives and define the measurable goals. How do you do that? First of all, define the purpose and the scope of the project and the investment. I think, in my opinion, okay, this is the most important step on building a strategy going forward and having a successful outcome. Pending, okay, the materiality of the project, it needs to be discussed in the boardroom, like I said before, with the leadership team, with the presidents, the VPs, finance, merchandising, people from operation, technology, marketing, real estate, facility engineering, HR, all inclusive, okay? As an example, if we are focusing on increasing the market share, what are the products, okay? What is the brand? what are the customer needs? So we have to make a study there, okay, in order to have the right projections. Then the other piece is how we're going to achieve it, okay? We have to define the focus areas. As an example, if you have the auto industry, right, the new cost-effective car, which responds directly to the customer demands, okay, these are tailored towards the price and unique features that we have, and which makes a strong appeal to the customer needs. We have to enhance the inventory management. On the other side, in retail, like me, for example, will be the simple enhancing customer experience in the stores. We have any digital growth, resets, remodel of the stores, store expectations, new store. Okay, so all these things play a role, and then we assess and determine the resources needed for the project. What is the timing? What is the capital investment needed? The other one would be identifying the key drivers and challenges. What are the key drivers in all this picture? Anything which has a material impact, a direct impact, okay, to the project, to the target audience. In this game, in this example, is going to be the customers. So here I include the any financial items such as cost, income, demand, and supply. In addition, we have other drivers here, okay, such as the customer preferences, economic growth, other factors such as any social changes you might have, okay, and then any uncertainties which we don't know. Like example, a prime example is COVID. There are a lot of sources to use to identify key drivers, okay, which includes historical data, market research, and any industry reports that we have in our possession. The third one here is to determine the measure of success. Very self-explanatory here. How we use the strategies, okay, to evaluate the future of the project. As an example, sales growth, digital growth, market share gain, customer growth, and any other items related to these. The best method, the other thing is we need to establish the best methods to use the conducting and comprehensive scenario analysis. I have a few methods. The first one that comes to my mind is the quantitative methods. And I can name a few here, which includes forecasting methods that we're discussing today. And this is a method of using the history data, okay? This is a method that used at trend analysis to predict any future outcome. As an example, it might we got to make sure that to have a adequate level of inventory as we prepare for the holiday sales, weather events. We got to foresee that. We have examples from prior years, so we can use that data. As I mentioned here, one of the key drivers in forecasting models is the historical data. Let's say, for instance, we don't have historical data. Okay, in this case, to achieve the desired results, we must make sure that there is a clear understanding of the project scope and the goals. We will need to analyze similar project in scope from competitors. And we need to conduct surveys, welcome any feedback, and external data gathering. But in this approach, remember, in the project and forecasting, we must be conservative. Benchmarking methods. You compare business unit KPI results with those of other units with similar conditions within the competition, within the industry. The other method might be a simulation method, which is imitation of the situation or processes. This method is mainly very, very helpful when we evaluate different strategies, providing that we have a clear understanding of the scope, okay, of the project and the key drivers which are associated to it. And as an example, we are testing different price strategies within our model and how that's going to play in our future forecasting. Gap analysis, another key element, of this method is to provide the desired results, okay, and understanding which level of the project we can be reached at the full potential by doing that. I think knowing these is going to enable all the management and owners of the project to test the level of success, different level of successes within the different with different levels of inputs. As an example, we know the sales goal and our potential. Gap analysis will identify, okay, the areas which we need to improve to bridge the gap. Sensitivity analysis, we use that a lot in our project we have for the stores and all that. Which is also known as a what-if scenario here. A method would build different scenarios, as I said. Here, I think, in other words, what we're trying to assess here is what is the maximum level of increase in productivity, for example, and still provide the desired outcome that we need. The other item here is how to evaluate financial performance against established targets and ensure alignment with evolving market. To be honest with you, this is one of the topics which I like the most because it challenges creativity. You need to be creative. You need to understand, the foundation of the project and then build upon that. Here, we got to establish the key performance indicators, knowing, otherwise as a KPI. This needs to be directly correlated, okay, all those key indicators, to clear objectives and measurable goals, which established at the start of the project, as I mentioned, at the beginning of our conversation or of the presentation. Here, please note here that these performance indicators will be used to evaluate the performance of the project at the different stages of the project, at the different stages of the forecast, and should be reviewed periodically. What are the KPIs here that I use the most or are well known? Those are informal variances such as dollar ratios, percentages, rates, and are very helpful on evaluating the performance of the project. Some other examples, KPI examples: actual sales versus profit, performance to budget, return on investment, right? Inventory turnover, which calculates or measures the efficiency ratio. Another important point: communication. We need to communicate the expectation to the key owners. I think this is a very, very important step as it relates to the ownership and accountability, okay, of each metric to owners participating in this project, in this forecasting model. In this step, I think we must make sure that there is a clear and direct communication with the leader of each unit as a member of the team, which is part of implementing this strategy going forward, and reminding, the deadlines, of achieving each goal and the importance of attaining them. In anything that we learn down, in the middle of the project that we need to change, and it's important, it is material, we should approach as such. We have to develop the performance scorecards, which I think plays a key role because we understand our level of achievement or performance at any stage of the forecast of the project. And I would say last but not least, we need to reevaluate the effectiveness of the KPI. And this, what I see here during my experience, is an ongoing process. As I noted in previous slides, we know very well that the world economy is evolving, okay, constantly, where we have a change in macro and microeconomic landscapes. And in order to survive, okay, in this environment, every organization must evaluate periodically the usefulness of the KPIs and making sure that they reflect at any stage of the project, any stage of the forecasting, that they are supportive on ongoing process. And also, most importantly, keeping pace with the constant change on the evolving markets. Brittany, that's all I have, and I'm eager to see any questions that the audience have for me.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Julian, for such an insightful presentation. As a reminder, audience members can still enter questions. And we had a couple that came through. So, Julian, this first question, what are some effective techniques for aligning strategic planning with organizational goals?
Well, effective techniques is it goes back to understanding the landscape, understanding the economic impact. And first and foremost, I would say is what are we trying to achieve? If we are looking for, to increase sales, or if you're looking to gain the customer, the market share, immediately the thing is you got to do a study. You got to do a study, understand what are the other players within the organization, or within the state, or within the division, or within the enterprise, and compare that with what we're trying to do next. Also, I think it's very important to understand what kind of role the government plays, because any regulation might either help or discourage any forecasting here. And then you match that, okay, all the goals here with how you're going to approach with all these pieces you have in your hand, and then you build them up.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay, this next question. What key metrics and data sources should financial controllers prioritize when building accurate forecasts?
That's a great question. Actually, it depends. Probably going to be surprised, what Julian is saying. It depends, because the key metrics is, first of all, is what is your profit? What is your EBITDA year after year? Okay, this is one of the metrics that you establish. How is my profit going forward in either short term or long term? What is my return on investment? That's another metrics. It's very important. Has to do with any investment you do to the stores, any investment in the future as well. And to me, like I said, these are the main two that I do.
Great. Thanks, Julian. And I think this next question is pretty important, especially regarding just the entire team. So, is there reluctance to change, especially when taking on more responsibility? Any reluctance from employees? And if so, how would you address this?
I would say that first and foremost is as a financial controller, we got to be open-minded. It has to be all-inclusive. Make no mistake, you cannot do everything by yourself. And you have to include all the players involved, and having a periodically conversation with them about any project, anything that might come into play, any changes, okay, has to be, we might be open-minded. Invite challenges. You got to invite challenges, and change in nowadays, it's a must. If we don't change, and if we don't keep pace with any changes outside our world, we are wrong. Okay, we're never going to be successful to it. So again, it has to be all inclusive. Everybody has to participate. You got to let that freedom of listening from to the others, and having that the conversation, understanding that everybody is important. So addressing these is we address it every day. We address it every day with any project, any conversation you have.
Great. Thank you so much. And I think we have one last question just to close out with. How can financial controllers balance complexity and usability when creating scenarios?
Uh, I think this is a tough one, because we have to be specific, and when you create a model, and then as we know, the model is complex. How you address that, as I said before, is very important to understand the pieces that make up this forecast. As an example, sales, you got the gross profit, you got the expense, and you usually expense, you look at the operation, okay, and you say you reach out to them. So you kind of breaking down or peel the onion, I would say, and then by identifying each owners, okay, you go have the communication, have a conversation, and you collect the data. So you break that complexity into pieces where everybody has ownership.
Great. Well, thank you so much again, Julian, for an excellent keynote presentation and for taking the time to answer those questions. I also want to thank everyone else who joined us today. This session, along with all of today's content, will be made available on demand following the event. Our next session will begin shortly at 11:35 Eastern, which is a panel titled Finance Transformation for Improved Efficiency. Please click the join button that will appear on your screen to be redirected, and we look forward to seeing you there. Thank you again, Julian.
Thank you.